morning, 7:45, and we'll talk COVID concerns in the province right now. And for that, we're joined by News 1130's Liza Yuzda. Liza, good morning. Lots to get through today. First of all, give us a quick update. We're not seeing the hospitalizations. We haven't had a death in 11 days, but we are seeing a couple of more cases creep up in the last couple of days for BC numbers.
Yeah, overall, we had a 3-day total yesterday. We saw between high 30s and 50. So 131 cases over 3 days, which isn't great. But again, you said the hospitalizations are low, so that's good. But Dr. Bonnie Henry, Health Minister Adrian Dix being very clear, we got to get it together. We've got to pull it in. Adrian Dix said, enough is enough, telling people to start partying and respect the rules and know that if this explodes, it's going to affect a lot of things adversely eventually. Well,
speaking of which, let's talk about schools. The restart date for schools is still tentatively scheduled for September 8th, but that could change based on yesterday's news conference.
It could change, and the Premier John Horgan has said that he's open to it. One of the key things that I heard yesterday talking about schools, Dr. Bonnie Henry talked about the number of kids that are going to be together. We've heard that there's going to be pods, elementary, middle schools, 60 people pods beyond their class, and high school kids, 120. What she said yesterday that was key, because a lot of parents have been having heart attacks thinking 60 kids, holy Hannah, that's a lot. I'm only supposed to be around 6 right now. But what she said is those 60 kids, let's see your elementary or middle school, are the kids that you are going to enter school and exit school with, both at the beginning and end of day and for recess and lunch breaks. But you are not going to, she used the word intermingle with those kids. When you go out on the playground, you will keep in your group, your classroom. So you will go in and out. So it's minimizing those contacts in the hallways and bypassing contacts, not like those kids are going to be in a mosh pit of 60 kids. So that, I think, is good news for people. Also talked more about the administrative controls, what classrooms are going to look like. And she said there's things we need to look at, like ventilation. There's been a lot of talk about that. Can windows be open, fans? I'm not sure what they're looking at. Also looking at just the direction kids face. I know some teachers have written me and say they use long desks where there's 4 children and they face each other. Well, we know that facing each other is not great. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes as far as how rooms are set up. So that number, knowing that, if my kids go to school, they're only around the 20 or so kids in their class, not 60, is a bit of a relief.
It's astounding when you look at all the factors that have to be looked at here. What about families that have grandparents living with them? How does that work with the interaction in the family and the kids going to school?
Well, families really need to assess that. I'm in that situation, and what she said is, she didn't say don't go to school, but she said you have to assess your overall risk. So if your kids are going to school, and let's say you have a couple of kids, plus you're going to work, plus you're doing extracurriculars, that's probably too much. You might want to pull back on the extracurriculars, and you really need to look at your individual situation. And she admits this is not easy for people. There's nothing about COVID that's easy. This is all hard, and there's a lot of tough decisions in assessing risk at every point. So you need to look at what's okay with your family.
All right, and regarding those 20-somethings partying in the summer, Adrian Dix says enough is enough.
He is not having it. What I thought was interesting yesterday, and they sort of alluded to this before, saying, they're trying to get to the 20 and 30-somethings, and they're not probably looking on Facebook where we see a lot of news, or Twitter. They're on Instagram. And so he said earlier, we need people to be our influencers. And so they referenced that again yesterday, saying that they are going to find influencers to get online and tell people. And he says, you could all be influencers. Pretty sure, Thor, we are not the influencers. Well, I don't know. You maybe, me no. That these 20 or 30-somethings are looking to tell them to, the other thing she said is if you're going to a party and it doesn't feel right, there's no better excuse than a global pandemic to say no.
Yeah, totally. All right, Liza, we thanks so much for your time today, and we'll chat with you on Thursday. I'm sure there'll be much more to talk about then.
Absolutely. Have a great day, Thor.
You too. That's News 1130's Liza Yuzda coming up in